And hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Two Player Podcast with myself and my buddy Ham Solo. Definitely some things to talk about this week. I mean, I haven't talked to Ham about anything, so I don't even know if he saw any of the news today. Have you seen any of the news today, Ham? Xbox and stuff? Phil
Uh,
Spencer did an
I've
interview.
seen some of the stuff Phil said, and it just kind of sounds like more of the same
Yeah. Yeah, that's
a
kind
little
of where
bit.
I'm at with
Just,
it.
just I guess in some ways, some more clarity on it, but really still kind of not really clear. So just
Yeah,
Xbox, I guess. Just
exactly.
Xbox doing Xbox stuff, and it
Yeah.
wasn't really an exciting call by any chance or bit of news. It was just news.
Yeah. Well, before we get into any of that, let's talk about what we've been playing. I know what I've been playing, but first, I mean, let's obviously start with you. Get us started. What have you been playing? What have you been up to? What's going on?
Um, I'm playing a few things. Some Dragon Age, mostly as of lately. Death Stranding, seeing that game to Xbox. Played
Hmm.
that a bunch. I'm already in the second part of the game. Well, I'm about, I'd say like a quarter of the way through, a little under, maybe a quarter of the way through that game, maybe. But
Okay.
I put some time into that. Um, I'm doing pretty well. Um, yeah, Dragon Age kind of got my eye right now for the most part. Playing that, leveling up. I think I'm like 32 or 33. I don't know. I'm in the middle of a fight right now. So I can't exactly tell you, but yeah, I've been having
Hmm.
some fun with this game. The story's all right. The story's it's getting more interesting, that's for sure. It still might
Yeah.
not be like my favorite story, but it's not like it's not terrible. It's definitely not a terrible story. It's interesting in its ways, but kind of meh in its ways for me as well, which is okay.
Yeah. That's fair. Uh, I mean, I'm pretty sure I told you I ended up beating it not too long, like a couple days ago, and then I also replayed it because I beat it, got the ending that I got, which was really good. Like it was the ending of that game's incredible. But then I beat it again and got the, I guess, quote unquote canon like good ending, I guess you'd call it, which also was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I mean, that's what I've been playing for the most part, and then after I beat that, uh, I mean, you could see it on screen now. I have some Mass Effect gameplay. Kind of trying to go back through Mass Effect again. I beat 1 and 2 back when the Legendary Edition came out. I got like probably 75-80% of the way through 3 and I just never saw it through. Not even because I wasn't enjoying it, because honestly, I kind of felt like 3 was better than 2. From the huge chunk that I played. But I think I got distracted by something that came out around that time. I'm not entirely sure. Might have been the beta for Halo. That was 2021, right? Summer 2021.
Yeah, it was.
It might have been that, and then like I just never came back to it. So yeah, I've restarted, made a new character on PC. I'm probably, if I had to guess based on what I remember, I'm probably like near 50% of the way through Mass Effect 1 right now. So that's what you're seeing on screen right here. Absolutely love Mass Effect. So yeah, definitely been playing that. I wanted to play Death Stranding. In fact, I wanted to stream it here on the channel. But once I beat Dragon Age Veilguard, I was just in the mood to play Mass Effect. And so I haven't even really played Death Stranding the way I would want to. because I do want to beat that on Xbox as well at some point. But eventually we'll get to that. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I don't think I missed anything, honestly. It's mostly just been Mass Effect and Dragon Age. But I've talked a ton about Dragon Age on this channel, so I don't think anybody like I don't need to go into that anymore, and I don't think anybody wants to hear that anymore than I've already done like the past 3 weeks. So we'll get into actual topics here this week. Ty, what's going on? Appreciate you for stopping by. He says I can't play games again. Really, because every decision I make is my real life decision. Playing again means I'm changing these decisions that I wouldn't actually make. I'll tell you, I'm making probably most of the same decisions that I made my first playthrough. The only thing that's different in my first, and I told him this last night, the only thing that's different from my first playthrough to this playthrough is I don't know what's up with Ashley, but she's I mean, I'm not gonna say the words here on my channel, but she's kind of a hussy. I don't like her. I don't like her much at all. Uh, like she's like I've told her no multiple times, and she's just like no means yes, and I'm like no, no it doesn't. Get away from me, Ashley. But yeah, I'm making most of the same decisions I made in my first playthrough. The good news is that I don't remember a lot of them, but I'm playing mostly good guy. But then if I run into people who are assholes, then I'm an asshole back, and that's exactly how I played it the first time. So I wouldn't imagine I'm too far off. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm really excited to get to Mass Effect 2 again because I tell you what, the gameplay in one, oh man, it's not great.
So it's kind of tough.
It's not the best, man. And it's not even like the guns and stuff and the combat. Like the combat's serviceable. It's fine. It's whatever.
No, it's running around
It's
in the car.
exactly. It's running around, dude. Your guy's supposed to be this is supposed to be part of like some weird space navy, and he's like he can't
It
run
takes 10
from
steps.
dude, I can run. I have more stamina than this guy. And that should not be the case. That absolutely should not be the case. But yeah, I
Yeah, I
can't
don't
wait to
know,
get to Mass
man.
Effect 2.
You're a big fit guy, fresh out of the NBA.
I'm definitely not fit. I'll tell you that right now. I'm a very long ways from fit, and that's a fact. But I got more stamina than Shepard. I know that
How
much.
how come you have a business called Fit and Fresh?
Fit and fresh or fresh and fit? Because both of the one of those is untrue, and fresh and fit is just not good.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, it's just either of those is not true, though. We'll say that. Um,
Fair.
but yeah, instead of talking about what I've been playing and going on more about that,
Oh,
let's actually. What's up?
oh no, I just fell in the water. I'm good.
Oh, you're
Good.
good.
Keep going.
Okay. Well, let's actually get into some topics. And first up, I figure we'll start with the whole Phil Spencer thing because I feel like this is big news yet again. And I get it. Phil just did another interview, and every time he does an interview, it's news. So I get it. But the first thing we'll get out of the way, because I feel like we've talked about it at length on this show, on most shows I've been on at this point, is the whole like Phil Spencer talked about exclusivity and like I think his direct quote was they're not drawing any red lines that they won't cross in terms of bringing games to other platforms. Which I mean, I know you've talked about it. I've talked about it. My whole take on this thing has not changed, and I don't foresee it changing at all. It's just I expect everything to be everywhere at this point. And if that doesn't happen, then that's cool. And if it does happen, then that's cool. I haven't really changed my stance on that either way. But before we move on to the other things that he said, is there anything you want to say about this?
Well, I said this back when earlier in the year when Starfield was being talked about going over there, and it eventually didn't really actually happen, at least right away. Who knows if it
Yeah.
happens soon or whatnot. I mean, I don't like it, and I always say that I don't like it. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like I'm a consumer and they run the business. It's not my business to run. It's not exactly how I would like to see it, but I'm also kind of a classic kind of gamer that's only seen one way of doing things, and I could really kind of easily look at the business in a whole and say it's not near the same business it was when I was a kid, like
Yeah.
at all. Like Sony literally dropping a game on Nintendo when they were bitter rivals, fucking games on like just a generation ago, like people were saying never PlayStation games on PC, and Xbox, and us Xbox guys were saying like we're coming back, and once we do, like we'll have like they got the money to be able to come back and fight back and whatnot, and they took kind of a classic route that Microsoft does, which is, pretty much befriend your enemy to the point where you can just keep going and going and going, and you just kind of eventually make your own way into the business, and but be one of the most high profile pieces in the business. Like it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's kind of shitty because you just don't really like you get it, but you don't really get it, right?
Yeah.
I get what they're doing. They're making money. Like that's the obvious part, is that they're making money and they're doing and they're not going anywhere. They made that pretty firm.
Yes.
Here's what I said in particular earlier this year. I said that I am going to continue sticking with Xbox because I'm invested in it already. I already have like anywhere between I don't know how much exactly. I mean, if I look at my games and apps right now, it's going to compare both of our libraries together.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure I have around like 300 games just digitally on
Yeah.
Xbox, just digitally on Xbox, right?
Mine's about the
And
same, I think.
not counting those, not counting demos or any of those stupid things that sit in there. I'm just saying games.
Yeah.
and and that doesn't even count for the physical media that I have. All that stuff works well, and they all I'm sorry. And then they all kind of intertwine through not just the console, but PC, cloud, yada yada, right? So to me, it's kind of like for me, it's just kind of like just kind of sticking within the system. Like some people, when they get, you know, Google Home or something like that, they'll get, a Pixel phone, and they'll get, everything Google in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I look at Xbox. It's just like, oh, it all ties together. That was kind of the whole purpose of the Xbox One when it came out. Was it was the console that ties your front room together. Well, now instead of it just being on a console, they're like, yo, if you have internet, we're going to tie everything together as much as we can. And that's the reason that they're buying these big publishers. Like you see them buying Activision, you see them buying Bethesda, and then you see IGN just like today or the other day say, "Hey, Microsoft's still planning on buying more." And it's because of that.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you guys have made it hard for us for years. We'll still share some of the games with you guys, but it's going to be in our ecosystem, and they're going to be able to play it how they want to play it. And this is why I tell people, hey, Microsoft is essentially doing what they did with computers, and you got the Surface. Now Microsoft is doing that with Xbox. You had Big Chungus console competed with competed with Sony and Nintendo and whoever else. Sega, whenever they came out, even though they kind of defeated themselves.
Yeah.
Um, you have all these big dogs out. I mean, there's not very many big dogs out here, but yeah, I mean, you have the big dogs out here, and that's who they're competing with, and they're like, all right, well, how do I, especially since I can't gain too much, like obviously, like some of like Sony and Nintendo are like household names. They have been, and they've done it due to their to a lot of their consistency. Okay, that's where Sega ran out, but they had no money to stay sustained, so they went to do what they did, which is just turn into a software company, just strictly software and um just strictly like video games and software, right? As to
Hmm.
where Microsoft has the money to stick around, and money gives them a lot of time. So if anybody else screws up, they can still provide you a way to play something.
Yeah.
And if you like whether it's a computer, whether it's on a third party handheld device, whether it's on something first party that they make themselves, which I think they will continue to do. I don't know at what capacity it will be, which is what I'm most interested in, because I do think they will have something outrageous, but like still not over $1,000, like $700, $800. I could see that.
Okay.
But I think they'll also have something very friendly. And that's why we keep hearing things about like the Surface developers are helping work on the new console and think of ideas, and because that's what they're turning themselves into, is a anybody device that actually has gaming make sense for that device at a decent price. And if they could do that successfully, I think they'll stick around in the console business. But if they fail and give up quickly, I could see them just giving out games, and that would be a sad day.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I'm just like, see, for me, like kind of like I said, I just once they started saying, okay, we're gonna bring what were the first four? It was like Pentiment, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, and Hi-Fi Rush. And once they did that, I was like, okay, well, that opens the door for other things. So I'm just gonna assume that there will be other things. And then they talked about more, and I was like, okay, well, I'm assuming it's everything. And I'm kind of in agreement with you where it's like, I don't love this whole new approach, but I'm also like kind of in the exact same spot as you said. I own a ton of games on Xbox. I'm not gonna jump platforms because the people on the other platform can now play the game that I already own on Xbox. I'm not gonna do that. It just doesn't make any sense financially. And also, I much prefer the Xbox ecosystem over PlayStation's. I think PlayStation's ecosystem is kind of just bad, for lack of a better word. So them getting a game or games that I also get doesn't really affect me. I just really couldn't care less at this point. Ty says, Ham, Microsoft has the money, Xbox doesn't have the money, though. Parent entities don't really have the appetite to keep funding failures or underperformance. You must contribute to the balance sheet. Well, I mean,
They are. Have you not seen the
well,
number?
I was about to say because they definitely do have the
What? That
appetite.
doesn't make any sense. They
They
go.
def,
I mean, they're not losing mass amounts of money. Like, have you not seen that they're like making crazy money right now in the
yeah,
strategy that they're doing? That's why they're doing it.
yeah,
What's weird is the only thing that's really weird about this situation is how they're doing it. It's not that because they're not hurting on cash with Activision Blizzard. Well, the thing that's kind of interesting is how they will maneuver in the new day of they in the new day for developers because all these people are getting like fired and quitting, and this is happening in industry wide. So that's going to be an industry an interesting thing to keep up and watch because I thought I seen something about Bethesda. I don't know how true it was, but I thought I seen something about like on strike or something, like somebody
yeah,
like
union
Bethesda or
workers
something
at
like that.
Bethesda are on strike.
Which that was quick,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's just gonna be kind of interesting watching that. But but at the same time, they're making a lot of cash, so they're gonna figure out in my opinion, a way to make that work. Because I don't know, like look at I guess maybe we should, or I guess on my own time while we're still talking about something else, I'll look up like some of the earnings and stuff like that. That because they've been loud and proud lately about how they're kind of raking it in with Call of Duty, and they were pretty loud and proud about Diablo and some of these other recent purchases that they had and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
don't know exactly if I'd be worried about Xbox's money making opportunities because they just spent a lot and now they're making a lot. I think it's more or less like what they just have like planned that they're not saying right now that I'm more or less kind of just on edge about.
I would say if Microsoft wasn't or if they didn't have the appetite to fund Xbox, I mean, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Like if they didn't have the appetite to fund Xbox, Xbox would have been dead. Like God, years and years ago. Like probably early last generation, they would have probably pulled the plug on it. If they didn't have the desire or the appetite to fund Xbox, and they certainly wouldn't have made moves like buying Bethesda, let alone Activision Blizzard. They would have never done that. So it's like they definitely want to fund Xbox. They made a pretty concerted effort of funding Xbox. Xbox now, kind of what Ham said, they're making money. Like they're making, I mean, they're doing pretty good, especially after. I think didn't they just talk about their earnings and everything like not too long ago, like in the past couple weeks. I think they talked about that stuff because it was after the launch of Black Ops, and then they also talked about how Black Ops was the biggest Call of Duty launch ever, or the most played Call of Duty. I forget how they said it, but they talked about that, and then they also talked about how it drove the most amount of players into Game Pass for a game. I think is what they said. So like they're doing fine in that respect, in terms of making money or being profitable. I think Xbox is making money as a brand. Xbox is making money. I think where Xbox isn't making money, if I can agree a little bit with Tae here, is in the console space. like in terms of
Oh,
selling
100%.
consoles. And I totally agree with that. I have no, like, there's really not even an argument to make about that. I think when it comes to selling consoles, the Series S and Series X, they are not making money. And this is why we're seeing, I mean, Ham's talked about it. I feel like I've talked about it multiple times on shows. This is why we're seeing them make this whole move, this whole quote unquote multi platform pivot, is because, I mean, Ty even said it earlier in the chat, I believe. They're going multi platform due to the underperformance of the series consoles. And I totally agree with that. Like if the Series S and X were at, I don't know, what call it 70 million, 60 million, whatever PlayStation's at, if they were at that number, then I don't think they would be even really pursuing this. They wouldn't care about this. They'd just be making money off of the consoles they sold, and people would be buying their games or subscribing to Game Pass, and you would have a lot more money. But people aren't buying the console like that. So their answer to that is, okay, how can we, in a time when that console isn't making money, or our console this generation isn't making money, how can we make money? Well, their answer to that is, we'll take all of our games, because we own a fucking huge portion of the industry right now, and we'll just put those games everywhere. I mean, if our games are everywhere, then we're going to make money. And I mean, you look at how they talk about their earnings and everything and the past, I mean, half a year, year and a half, or not a year and a half, but half a year, it seems to be working pretty well. I mean, they're definitely making money over there. It's just the way they're doing it has a lot of people not thrilled, not excited. Which is, you know,
There's the not thrilled. There's the not thrilled and excited part for sure, but there's also kind of a wonder of like of who they're kind of marketing to, and I don't think it's the same type of gamer that we've always, you know, thought about that they're marketing to like per se, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
I think they're more or less kind of like the way I look at it is they're working towards the future, and it looks really weird now, but I'm sure people thought the same thing about Microsoft back in the day when they had Gateway.
mm-hmm.
Oh, Microsoft's in trouble. Gateway's going, you know, Gateway's going down. They made different ways of, you know, playing on a PC and whatnot. More or less sold a lot of their software. Sold
Yeah,
it to Compaq, Hewlett Packard, Dell, you know, all these different companies.
yeah,
Have you heard of those companies for a while?
yeah,
I'm just asking.
yeah,
Have you
definitely.
heard from those companies in the last 5 to 10 years? Where's
I've definitely.
what's been popping with HP lately? How's Compaq doing?
Oh yeah, I got you. When it comes to compact, yeah,
How's Compaq doing right now? Dell, they're doing all right, I guess.
yeah,
They're they're all right, but they still get their software. A lot, but most people still get their software from Microsoft. And what did Microsoft do in lieu? They made a device that was easy and cheap to get, that stayed within a budget, and they have a pro version of it as well. That you know that's much stronger.
yeah,
So it's just like people are clowning Microsoft really hard. They are, and you know what? In a way, they deserve it, 100%, right? Because the way they do it is so untraditional. I'm not saying I even love it, But I mean, if you've been paying attention to Microsoft, they like to squeeze people. Look at Sony right now, in particular. They're rethinking their whole strategy right now on a lot of different things. Whether that has to do strictly with what's going on at Microsoft or not, I don't care about. But if Microsoft is over here hanging out in third place and you're panicking to keep first and doing all this crazy stuff and spending record amounts on failures, I'm just saying, like, it gaming looks really weird right now.
Yeah.
Gaming looks really weird because Microsoft says, yo, we're comfortable with serving everybody. We don't care. And we're just going to keep making that money. Whatever. I don't care. And Sony's like, we're stingy, but we're going to have to start cutting some corners now and stuff like that. And Nintendo's just like, how do we maintain, consistency from one generation to the next? Because the last time they had the kind of success that the Switch has, they failed the very next generation.
Yeah.
So like gaming is a slippery slope, and I don't think people realize like how slippery it is versus like how like because a lot of people are like judging and saying, Microsoft's on the brink, and I'm just like, yo, Paris is trying to tell y'all. I'm telling y'all, I've seen this before. And like, although it took 10, 15 years, if you ask Microsoft to wait and they will succeed, they will wait.
Yeah.
They will wait you out. They will sit there like a fucking sniper on the hill and just sit there and just sit there. And then once they got the opportunity, they'll take it. Like there's a reason they're one of the most richest businesses in the world.
Yeah.
And when they said it in gaming right now, and to me is, I mean, we've clearly seen that it's one of the highest grossing things in the world. Why would they leave that? It just makes no sense, especially after the money that you've seen them spend. And then on top of it, they haven't shown any signs of slowing down. And one of the most recent articles from IGN is they ain't done purchasing yet.
Yeah. Phil Spencer
If
literally said it in the interview today. He,
does that sound like somebody that's about to give up?
yeah. they,
Yo, bro, if I was, I'm not gonna say the S word, but if I was gonna, take care of myself, get, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Matt?
I think
If
so.
I
Yeah.
was done living, if I was done living, I would have no reason to go grocery shopping.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. I was kind of worried where you were going with that because I was like, wait, it's like, wait, what? But
No,
no,
I wanted to
you're
make it
right.
real simple, but make it sound kind of serious, right? If
Yeah.
if I was ready to jump off the plank, why would I? Why would I go grab some beer right before? Like like go grab some beers, some dogs, and bring out my grill. Why would I do that?
Get the good chicken
You don't.
fingers.
You, you're not gonna buy all the highs, especially if you're a big business like Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna go spend a crazy amount of money just to quit. It just doesn't. That just doesn't make any.
Yeah. I totally agree with
Where
that.
do they do that?
That's not many. There's no place where that happens, and I don't think this is any different here. And to what you were saying, Phil Spencer literally said today, like, in fact, I have the quote, it says, "We definitely want to be in the market, and when we can, and this is in regards to acquisitions." He says, "We definitely want to be in the market, and when we can find teams of technology, capable and capability that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft, we will absolutely keep our heads up." Spencer said, "Still, there's nothing imminent, and very large deals are probably off the table at present as the company is spending a lot of time absorbing ABK employees," he said. So, I mean,
Which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you're not going
exactly.
to go grab somebody. You're not going to go grab like a Ubisoft now or a EA,
No.
something like that, right? You're going to probably grab like this doesn't sound great. Like people aren't going to love this particularly, but like the industry is
I might.
shaking right now, and the industry is shaking right now. It really
Yeah.
is, and I think that you're going to see more companies get bought by I mean even Sony, possibly Nintendo, possibly even these third party developers and stuff like that. And you're gonna see them get cut down or just absorbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna see a lot of that probably happening. Um, and then this is all just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm not Miss Cleo here. I don't know,
Sure.
but like but I'm just assuming like I think a lot of these companies are gonna get bought out, and if they have something cooking that looks interesting, like this is Shark Tank 101 right here. That's happening. They're gonna have to come in, they're gonna walk in, hi, my name is yada yada yada. Right, here's the game that we're presenting and whatnot. And they're gonna look at the game, they're gonna look at you, they're gonna look at the game again and say, either it's good or it ain't good, but I want your team. And then when they get your team, it will be who here is good, is actually good. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just gonna happen repeatedly. I think there'll be some play. I think there'll be some that are like, the only way that I will work with you is if Bungie type shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely see that happening, especially with some developers kind of being scared about how things are gonna, pander out or shake, or wanting to save their, crew and stuff like that, which I think is admirable. Um,
Definitely.
but the follow through, which not Bethesda, which
Bungie.
Bungie did not do.
Yeah.
The follow through is very key, but sometimes it takes a year, a few years to go through something. Or, like I said, if you didn't have something cooking before purchase that made sense and wasn't lopsided in the sense of we're spending like too much but making a ton, more or less spending a little bit but making a lot, because that's what all these companies are looking for, regardless. I mean, I really think that it's going to be an interesting, still, like in 2025. I think it's still going to be treacherous.
Yeah. I agree with, I don't think like,
Some
and
of these
especially,
acquisitions, not even just by Microsoft, but by other
yes.
like I mean, because you're seeing whatchamacallit, what was, god damn it, what are they called? Crafton. You're seeing Crafton picking up a lot of shit lately.
Yep. Crafton, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they
Crafton's been
they
balling.
they got Tango, and I swear they just got somebody else. I can't remember who, but I know they were in the news
They did.
in the last like 2 weeks with another acquisition. So yeah, like even smaller. I mean, saying Crafton's a small company, it's a big company, but like smaller scale versus like Microsoft or Sony, like even those people are in play here for like buying up, and to your point, potentially having some negative effects on developers and whatnot. And, that's never a good thing, but you're looking at the way that things are going in the industry at the moment in the past couple of years, it seems, quite honestly, where it's like it'd be kind of silly to ignore that as a possibility when all signs point to that being the case. Ty says developer wise, they should purchase Eidos and Crystal. Those studios are close to Fable and Perfect Dark, so there's a
Yeah, they
good
should
connection
just
there.
purchase Crystal. They should
I
just purchase Crystal at this point. Like
I think both
that's
Eidos
kind of
and
where I'm
Crystal.
at with it.
I think both of
Yes,
them
that
because
would
who
be
who are they with
amazing.
now? Because they were with Square
Um,
Enix, then Square sold them, and I forget who they're with now. I'm gonna look this up. Who owns Crystal Dynamics? Embracer. They're with
huh.
Embracer. Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they were back.
uh, wait, what?
Like weren't they with like no, they were with Square.
Square, yeah.
Okay. Where were they before Square?
I don't think. I mean, they've been a part of Square since shit
Since it was a
forever.
SquareSoft, since like
Because
SquareSoft days and shit like
I
that.
don't. I don't know if it was that far back, but I know. Put it this way, for over a decade, because they were at Square. Square published the original Tomb Raider reboot back in 2013. So like that was they were part of Square then. I don't know how long they had been
Okay,
with them
fair
at
enough.
that point, but they've been with them for a while or had been with them for a while. Um, so yeah, now they're part of Embracer Group, and to Ty's point, they're sat there working on. Obviously, they got Tomb Raider on their own end, but they're sat there working on Perfect Dark with the initiative, and then you got obviously the help that they're doing, not Crystal but Eidos with Fable. So you know, like those are two studios that kind of surprises, kind of blows my mind
Yeah, I
that
forgot that they were helping with Fable.
yeah, dude,
Dude,
Fable's getting a
Fable
lot of
is
help.
getting so much help, dude. It's
Yeah, they're getting a
insane.
lot of help from like obviously you got like within Xbox. I'm assuming you have crossover and people helping inside of Xbox and whatnot. But then you're looking at a studio like Eidos Montreal also helping out on Fable. I mean, who I guess we'll not know for sure who else is helping until the game's actually out. We see credits, but like there's a lot of people working on Fable.
It
Um,
almost makes me check this shit out.
yeah,
What if Indiana Jones was made the way Indiana Jones is made, partially in part because Microsoft at some point is planning on getting Crystal Dynamics, and they wanted Tomb Raider to still be Tomb Raider and not intervene with Indiana Jones.
with Indiana Jones. Yeah, I mean that's a conspiracy theory that totally makes sense. That's something that it does make sense. I also it just kind of boggles my mind that Xbox hasn't bought Crystal or Square or not Square, but Crystal or Eidos to the point where I'm
I think
like,
they wanted bigger fish at the time, though, and they clearly
yes,
got it right.
I think if it weren't for Activision falling in their lap the way that it did, I fully believe that there'd be a few studios that they would have right now, and I think Crystal and Eidos would be two of them. I also think Techland because I know Xbox likes that Microsoft they like working with Techland, the technology wise and all that stuff. So I honestly could see them getting at least Crystal, just because you look at the initiative and the guy heading up, I forget his name, Rob or Gallagher or something, I forget his name, but heading up that studio, he was also the lead developer or director on Tomb Raider 2013 on the Tomb Raider reboots. And Crystal Dynamics has a lot of respect for him. Obviously, Microsoft has a lot of respect for him. There's obviously chemistry between him and the rest of Crystal Dynamics. It's like it just makes too much sense to not. have them like in your stable of studios. But maybe the whole Perfect Dark thing is like a test run. Like if they nail it, then maybe they do look at buying. Like I said, at least Crystal Dynamics. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I'm kind of shocked that we haven't seen that materialize yet. Daryl Gallagher, thank you, Ty. That's his name,
Yeah,
Daryl
Daryl
Gallagher.
Gallagher.
Yeah, so yeah, I could totally see that being something that happens at some point, down the line. But for now, they're working
Head of
on
the
Perfect Dark.
studio.
Exactly. And I mean, I've got high hopes, especially after what we saw for Perfect Dark after its last showing, because I think before that we never. I mean, Perfect Dark was just kind of like a concept, and we never really saw anything. And then we finally got to see what they've been working on for forever at this point in that last Xbox show, and it looks amazing. And I know I'm sold on it because it gives me like it gives me like Dishonored vibes, sort of. Obviously, Dishonored's in a different time period, but it gives me those sort of vibes, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm very excited because Daryl Gallagher was the head of one of my favorite games of all time, which is Tomb Raider 2013. So I'm doubly excited for that. But yeah, there was that was like the big thing was that everybody's talking about today, which we tackled in length right there, which was the whole exclusivity thing. Which I mean, we both got our bars off on that. Obviously, I mentioned Microsoft or Phil Spencer's talking about the acquisitions, but he also talked about. He also said that Xbox is currently testing a handheld device. So that's confirmed that they're at least working on prototypes of this device. But apparently, it could be a long ways off, according to the way people are talking about it today. And I'm trying to find the direct quote from let's see, here we go. The executive, who has repeatedly professed his admiration for handheld game devices, said the expectation is that we would do something in that category. Although the company is working on prototypes and considering what it might do, Spencer also asked his group to look at the market and develop its vision based on what it learns. Such a device is a few years out, he says. So that's where they're getting that quote from. So we're looking at a couple years away for this handheld Xbox, which I don't think surprises me too much. I mean, I feel like the general consensus was what 2026, and that is a couple years away. I mean, I know we're at the end of 2024 coming up, but 2026, 2027 sounds about right. But are you surprised to hear that it's a few years out, or are you not surprised? How are you feeling about that quote?
Um, it's a little disappointing because I was hoping it was going to be a little sooner. Because I was kind of in the market to look for something, and now I am just thinking about um I'm thinking about maybe what other like if there is another device that I really need right now, or if I just need to just stick with what I have. What I have is already kind of tailored and made for me because I did what I needed to do to have what I have on mine.
Yeah,
My Steam Deck, and then I have the in case you don't know, I have an SD card that has that has Windows on it, and I'm able to play all my Xbox stuff and like that through, or all my Xbox PC stuff through there, and I could also stream from my console if I want to, or play cloud on my Steam Deck as well. So I have that tailor fit for myself. That is something that you have to do. You know, you're on your
on
own. That's
on
not
your
something that comes with.
on your own. And
That's not something.
heads up, I bricked my Steam Deck doing it. But God, remember that when I messaged you when I was trying to do that when Kayasante set us up
I
with
don't know
the
how you did that.
bro. I fucking wiped the entire OS off of that bitch, and I went to boot it up, and it was like, nope. It's like black screen, and I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? And then I went into like I don't know what you call it. I don't know if you call it the BIOS. But
Yeah.
I went into that and it was like, oh, you don't have a boot drive on here. Like none of your drives have anything to boot. And so I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to send this back in. But God bless Steam, God bless Valve, well, I should say, because they knew that some asshole like me would would screw up in that sense, and they put on their website like a file that you can download that puts all the that has all of that information saved, and you just download that onto an SD card, put it in your Steam Deck, and then transfer it from your SD card to the SSD, and then you're good to go. And I got it back, and then eventually I did get Windows on it, and then eventually I lost the SD card Windows on it. So that's where I'm at. Continue. Oh man, but
Yeah.
it's
Go
it
ahead.
was no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I had to let people know there is uh, if you can fuck around and find out if you're not paying attention, which is exactly what I did.
Hey, that's why I'm saying I did what I had to do
Yeah.
to get it done right. I was very diligent in the way I did things. Um, and I never had any of those issues that Matt had or whatnot. But I don't know. Yeah, you can find out if you don't do the directions to the T. You can find out.
Yes,
Um,
you absolutely can.
but yeah, I forgot what I was even saying, to be honest.
How you can play your Xbox games on there because, or you have a device that's kind of
Oh
exactly what
yeah,
you
so
need at
that
the moment.
yeah, I have a device that I kind of that has kind of what I need right now, and uh, I do want to update it though because the Wi-Fi on it isn't the best,
Mm-hmm.
and I really hope that. And but the thing is the next thing I get won't be a Steam Deck
Okay.
because the next thing I get will actually make me wipe the SD card that I have on the Steam Deck, and I'll start using that only for Steam with that SD card, and then the new handheld I get will be Microsoft only.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because as nice as it is being able to pop back and forth between the two BIOS, it is also kind of like when I just want to turn it on and play something. Some half the time I usually have to turn it on, then shut it down. Like because it's usually when you turn it on or when you turn it off when you're done playing it, it usually goes into like a quick resume kind of state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's in sleep.
And yeah, it goes to sleep. So and sometimes I like it like that, right? So I come back to it and I keep playing. But the thing is like when I want to go hop over to Steam, then I have to turn that on, wait for that to load up, then shut it down, turn it back on, go into the BIOS, switch over to the Steam to Steam instead of Microsoft or instead of Windows, and then play it from there. And it's really easy to do. It's just like an extra like 3 or 4 minutes. And usually when I'm picking up my Steam Deck, I'm doing it for quick play, like anywhere between 10 to 10 minutes to an hour, maybe two if I really get into it after I, sit down and start playing it. But like
Mm-hmm.
when the first 5 minutes become kind of a drag, it just sometimes I put it right back down and I'm just like, I'm just gonna go turn on next.
Yeah.
or like I'm just gonna go like hop on my PC real quick and get this done or something like that. And that's if I'm at home. Obviously, I'll sit there and deal with it if if I'm out and about. It's like no big deal then. But when I'm at
Yeah.
home, then it kind of is. But that's why I want to get a separate handheld, like I don't really know if I want the ROG Ally, but I want the I did want the Lenovo, and I still kind of do want the Lenovo Go. I still kind of do want that. Um,
Yeah, if I was getting
but
something, oh, sorry, my bad.
no,
Continue.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait probably another 6 months or so because I want to make sure that they that they don't come like if next spring comes and nothing has came and nothing new has came out by then or nothing new has been announced around the E3 or not E3 but the you know
Yeah,
showcase
yeah,
time of the year, then I'll probably grab like the Lenovo or something like that. I'll try to get it like cheap or something like that.
yeah,
But other than that, I would really like a newer handheld. I'm just not dying to get one, but hearing Xbox is a couple years off makes me want to get one kind of sooner than they're anticipating dropping one.
yeah. If I, the,
Because regardless when the Xbox One comes out, I'm getting that one. So.
yeah, I'm absolutely getting that. And if what I get next in terms of a hand, I mean, unless Xbox kind of surprises us and it does come out sooner, what I'll probably end up getting next, handheld wise, will be whatever the next Steam Deck is. Um, because like I mean, I've kind of been building my Steam library pretty hard. I know in the past year it's kind of jumped up, especially like this year it's kind of jumped up pretty good. I've been getting a lot of stuff on sale and whatnot, but like yeah, like I just kind of like the ease of use of the Steam Deck. I'm also just generally used to it at this point, so I don't really want to have to get used to another thing, which is kind of an issue for me, just my issue, but it's just personal preference. Ty says they've been fixing the Xbox slash PCOS, so they probably want to make sure that they got that right. Plus, they might be waiting for technology to advance so they can get the device smaller and cheaper. I totally agree with that last bit right there.
Oh, 100% tie spitting right there.
Yeah,
I really think, and I don't want to bring Sony back into it, but I'm going to. I want to see Sony get smaller and more compact as well. Um, um, like I think Microsoft is kind of like Microsoft and Xbox both are kind of moving in a way that's going to kind of set them differently, like not exactly consoles, maybe more PC centric kind of thing. Um, Maybe even like some sort of device that's more of a PC centric kind of device in the future. But I think that's more or less the reason that you're going to start seeing a lot more Xbox games over on PlayStation. But I'm really hoping that PlayStation kind of finds a way to, you know, be a little bit more eco friendly because although like the handheld that they got right now, the Portal, it's a tempting little device and it's pretty cool. Like I'm not gonna lie, it is. Right? I see what people see in it. The screen's really nice, sounds fairly good. The controllers, just like the PS5 controller, which I don't personally mind. But like the whole thing is it's only streaming, and that bothers me.
yeah,
So if PlayStation can somehow grow their ecosystem as well, I think that would be interesting and exciting. Right now they are hardcore on home console, home console, home console. And that is cool, but at the same time, I'm a very I like, you know, I'm not exactly like a traveling guy, but Matt, I don't really stay at home all the time.
yeah,
Like I go and do stuff, and for instance, like here in December, I'm going to the Game Awards. I'm going to go sit down at Keeley show and watch that shit. I got tickets and the hotel and the flight already. Everything's already paid for. Good to go. I like bringing my shit with me. And if I can keep it as concealed and compact as possible, great. And if I don't have to log in for anything other than letting the thing know that I own a license to it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So like that's why I like my Steam Deck, and that's why I have both OSs on it, so I can have that versatility of having it on my device. Because fuck getting on an airplane and hoping they got good Wi-Fi. Fuck
Oh
using your
yeah.
phone as a Wi-Fi spot, other than checking your license and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what it just kind of barrels down to. And I 100% think whenever Sony comes out with a handheld, because I think they will at some point, I think it'll be dope. But I just hope that they can grow their ecosystem, and it's not like a, because I think we've hit a time where it's like, dude, all right, you don't need two different IP, right? You don't need a PSP version and or like a PSP hard disk or whatever version thing for it, and then a separate game on the actual PlayStation. Now I think technology is finally getting to the point where we can play some of these games on these devices. The Steam Deck is proven that.
Yes. I was about to say Steam Deck's definitely proven that.
I mean, dude, Dragon Age on Steam Deck is insane.
That game is a fucking. I mean, I know that dude. That
Death
game's one of
Stranding
the
on Steam Deck is pretty good too.
yeah, really well optimized. Dragon Age is probably the best PC port of a game I've
In
ever
this
seen.
generation,
Yeah,
probably, yeah, absolutely.
definitely in this generation. Definitely in this generation. Like, and because of the problem with like PC and sometimes the Steam Deck is you get a new game that comes out and oftentimes they'll be like, this game's verified, and then you play it on Steam Deck and you're like, how the hell is this shit verified? This is terrible. Dragon Age is not like that. That game runs very well on Steam Deck, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know what they got up to behind the scenes with the optimization, but they nailed that shit. They absolutely nailed that shit. And you also look at games that are I can't. Is Dragon Age next gen only? I'm not entirely sure if it is. We'll have to
Well,
look. I'll have to look that
I
up.
I want to say it is, but I'm not sure exactly. I really actually don't even really pay that much attention. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if they reach back a generation. I wouldn't be surprised. There's so much money over there.
yeah, but because I was gonna bring up, yeah, I don't think it. Yeah, I think it's next gen only. But if it wasn't, I was also gonna bring
It
up a
probably
game
should be
like
the way it looks.
exactly. I was gonna bring up a game like Ratchet and Clank that's only on PS5. It's like that game I mean, only a console on PS5. That game runs great on Steam Deck. Runs beautifully on Steam Deck. So it's like you're seeing various different examples that dude, it's more than possible. And you're looking at the Steam Deck hardware. The Steam Deck hardware is pretty modest for what gaming handhelds are right now. Besides the Switch. Um, because when the Steam Deck came out, their whole thing was like the most powerful handheld ever. And like that was cool for a couple, what, a year and a half? And then you had other players enter the arena with Asus with the ROG Ally. You got the Legion Go now. I know to a lesser extent you got the MSI Claw, which apparently is terrible, but like you're getting more handhelds. Seems like every couple months, and now that the Steam Deck's not the most powerful, you're seeing that it can still run these games. So that technology is definitely there, and it's only going to get better. So I mean that's a long way of saying I totally agree with Taye that waiting for the technology to advance to a point. Also, they probably want the battery life to be a little bit better than what they are in these current handhelds, because it's like, for all the good that a lot of these handhelds do, like I feel like each one has their own strength. None of them have battery as their strength. Unless you're playing old, like really old games, in which case you can play them for hours and hours. But like the battery's like the
Yeah,
weak
or
point.
streaming. Yeah, that's the only
Exactly.
two ways of really playing for a long. Like that's the only way I can play them. That's why, as much as I see them figuring out ways to use less battery.
Yeah, different techniques behind the scenes stuff. Microsoft, I mean, with like in-house technologies and whatnot. I'm sure
Which
they're
is always
working on
something you
stuff
want to
like that.
strive for, anyways, right? You want to use the least amount of power as possible, and you know, it's nice to have the horsepower, but if you have something to make it to where you don't ever like really need to, go to 7,000, RPMs. You never have to go there, right? It's perfect then, because
Yeah,
that means the longevity of whether it's your engine or whatever it is, CPU, GPU. It never really has to work too hard, which in return gives you the longest possible time with it.
100%. 100%. Uh, I think I had one more thing here. Oh, remember on Friday we were talking about? I think it was Mental that brought it up, like Halo. Um, like if they want to make Halo more mainstream, there's nothing you can do that would be better than putting it in Call of Duty. Um, but I saw an article today from who was it? I
Mm-hmm.
want to say it was Tom Henderson. I could be incorrect about that. Yes, Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming. Halo, Doom, and Gears of War collaborations are coming to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it's claimed. And it says new leaks have surfaced from several Call of Duty data miners, including at COD Warfare Forum and Vondi is Pog. That's hilarious. On X, who generally have a good track
That's
record
wild.
of data mining leaks. Such details were soon corroborated by leaker Special Nick, who apparently heard of such crossovers back in January of this year. So, I mean, obviously, I mean, we talked about this on Friday on your show. Uh, this just makes sense. This just makes sense, and for me personally, I'm kind of like, it's about time. It's about damn time. And I know they've only owned Call of Duty for a relatively brief amount of time at this point. But it's like, dude, that's one of the first things you got. You guys should have been on that as soon as you possibly could. That should have been in the game. But it looks like we don't have to wait too much longer, hopefully, because it looks like that's something they are working on. But any thoughts on crossovers, Xbox specific crossovers, and Call of Duty? Black Ops 6 to be specific. So obviously, we're not going to have to wait too long.
This is them selling their product and showing off the IPs and stuff that they have. This is essentially like Call of Duty it's Microsoft's Fortnite. It is.
Yeah. Yes.
Call of Duty is Microsoft's Fortnite. So you're going to see them align with and put anything in the game that will make them money and more notoriety, especially with IPs that are like royal IPs, especially the ones that maybe have a little bit that they want to dig further back into, or ones they want to keep relevant. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Marcus Phoenix. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Fallout stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see, Master Chief, or even a Locke out there.
Bring in Cortana.
Cortana running around, right, with the
Yep.
fucking M16.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see any of this stuff. So like, it's
What's up, Blind?
especially as they come out with games, right? So if they
Yeah.
want to like show off like, oh yeah, Fable's coming out and now you're running around with a Fable character, right? In Call of Duty,
Yeah.
right? Just to promote that Fable's out and whatnot. And
Definitely.
in my opinion, it's kind of like, sure, then they'll, you know, say it's coming to PlayStation or something like that in 3 to 6 months, maybe next year, right?
Hmm.
Give them the old PC treatment that PlayStation's given people, right? And then you start to see those folks running around and playing that game. I think the point is to kind of entice you to just get it now instead of waiting.
Yeah.
Go,
Game's out
go
now.
grab yourself an Xbox and just get it now instead of just
And
waiting. Like your friends are playing it, everybody else is playing it, but you. So like,
yeah.
I find that kind of interesting. I don't know if it'll work,
Sure. Yeah.
but like,
Because
but it's that seems to be their strategy, their whole strategy on that idea.
yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think this is I mean this is their marketing tool. Call of Duty's now their like Call of Duty in and of itself is a marketing beat for literally every game you are going to release from now until the end of time. It's literally and not just a marketing beat, it's a huge marketing beat because dude, think of the amount of people. I mean, dude, we talk about it so often. The amount of people who just get Call of Duty every year. I mean, that's the thing they get every year, and that's the thing they see. Like, that's what they play when they have free time. Now you're putting in all your IP into Call of Duty. It just makes too much sense, honestly. Which is why I kind of said, I'm kind of surprised like this wasn't something you guys hopped on even back on MW3, even before it was in Game Pass. Like that's something I'd have been like, make a skin or anything. I mean, they put out skins all the time. There's like new skins every other week. It feels like put out anything.
I
It looks
think
like
they're trying. I think they're trying to maybe, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn at all, but I think they're trying to do what I'm telling you is like wait until a game release kind of thing and have it prepared, and then drop that into said game,
well that
right?
makes yeah that makes sense.
Especially with this new popular Call of Duty that just came out, Black Ops 6. Uh, Now, as games come out, you can feature characters and bam, it's easy advertisement within a game that people are playing nonstop. Easy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think that's probably pretty spot on, especially in the case of like they mentioned Doom specifically. Obviously, we know Gears of War with the prequel and everything they're working on. Doom is coming out next year. We don't know when, but next year sometime. I wouldn't be too surprised if it was relatively early in the year. I'd be ecstatic about that, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see that. And that makes a lot of sense, obviously, specifically for Black Ops 6. So we'll see. We will see. But it's good news nonetheless. It's something I feel like Microsoft should definitely be doing more of, and it looks like they will be doing more of it. So, like I said, good news. But I do believe that brings us to the end of our topics for today's episode. And we actually did go a little bit longer than normal today, which I'm not too mad about, honestly. But before we get out of here, we got to do the outros. So, Ham, get us started. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you're up to the rest of the week.
Sure, yeah, you can find me over at TSWS Gaming. We didn't have a show today, unfortunately, because uh, I didn't really have like I asked Matt to come through to be on the show, but like I really just didn't feel like having a show without Loke. And Loke is going through
Yeah.
some um protests and stuff like that. So he said he wouldn't be on the show today or Friday, which is tragic.
Oh, damn.
But
Yeah.
they got real shit going on over there. And I can respect that. But I will be doing a show tomorrow. I got a guest coming on, which is a developer, a small developer. He's um, pretty cool dude. Name Game Dev Micah. He's been screwing around a lot with like Unreal Engine 5 and working on his own game and stuff like that. And we're gonna just talk about video games in general, a little bit of his history. It's not like a behind them sticks kind of thing, but like we're gonna talk a little bit about his history and more or less just talk about games and what to expect, what he sees, how it is for him working and stuff like that. It should be a good time tomorrow. It should
Yeah.
be a good time. But definitely come through there. That will be at 3 p.m. Eastern on my channel, TSWS Gaming. Other than that, that's all I got, bro.
Nice. Links to that channel in the description, so check that out tomorrow. Like he said, he's gonna have a guest on. It should be a good show. And then Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern for bullsitting. That's with myself, Ham. Usually Loke. Loke's not gonna be there this week, and then we got Cozy, Mental 9R, and usually a guest to go with all that. So that's a fun time. Look forward to that. As for myself, you can find me here, obviously, every week. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern for this show, and then Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Usually, the last 3 weeks it's been Tuesdays, but usually Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for the L3R3 podcast with myself, Hard Days Mike, and it's me, Tuan. And then videos every week. I'll have a video out tomorrow, and I'm also working on a Dragon Age review. I'll probably have that out next week, so look forward to that. But with that being said, we're going to get up out of here. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next